Thinking about how long women's health has been, well, somewhat overlooked in the grand scheme of medical research, it's pretty striking. But the landscape is shifting rapidly, and at the forefront of this change is a really dynamic field called Femtech.
Absolutely. And what we're seeing isn't just like incremental improvements, it's a fundamental reimagining of how technology can address women's unique health needs. Everything from everyday monitoring to complex disease management.
Okay, so Femtech, for anyone just tuning in, what exactly does that term encompass for you? What are we talking about here?
Right. In essence, femtech refers to any technology, it could be hardware, software, services specifically designed to improve women's health. It's a relatively recent term, actually coined around, 2016, but the growth has been phenomenal.
Phenomenal how?
When we're talking about an annual growth rate north of 15% and projections estimate a market value of over $47 billion by 2035. That kind of growth, it signals a real demand and a recognition of previously unmet needs.
47 billion. Wow, that's a powerful indicator.
Right.
And as I understand it, a lot of this momentum is about rectifying some long-standing imbalances in medical understanding, right?
Precisely. For generations, medical research, clinical trials, even basic physiological models,
Hmm.
they often defaulted to the male experience, which obviously has created significant blind spots when it comes to understanding women's health.
Yeah.
And that leads to delays in diagnosis, uh, less effective treatments, and just a general lack of personalized care.
Right. It's like trying to solve a complex puzzle with like a significant chunk of the pieces just missing. So for this deep dive, what's the core question we're tackling today?
Our goal really is to explore how the innovations within femtech are beginning to fill those gaps. We'll delve into the key technologies driving this revolution, things like artificial intelligence and wearable sensors, and examine both the, immense potential and the crucial challenges that come with such rapid advancement.
Sounds like we've got a lot to unpack. So where are we seeing some of the most groundbreaking developments taking shape right now?
Well, one particularly exciting area is in diagnostics. And it's fascinating to see how menstrual health, something so fundamental to women's lives, is becoming a real hub for innovation.
Yeah.
Take a company called Qvin, for example. They've developed a product called the Q-Pad.
A menstrual pad. Tell me more about that.
Exactly. It looks and feels like a conventional menstrual pad, but it's engineered to collect and analyze menstrual fluid for clinically relevant diagnostic information.
Okay.
Think about the potential. Non-invasively monitoring for conditions like diabetes, thyroid imbalances, even early indicators of cervical cancer, all from something as routine as a menstrual pad.
That's a real shift in how we think about everyday health monitoring. Just wow.
It truly is. Dr. Sarah Nasseri, the CEO and co-founder of Qvin, dedicated like a decade to bringing this technology to fruition. And just recently, the Q-Pad received FDA clearance specifically for monitoring hemoglobin A1C levels, a key marker for diabetes. So the key takeaway here isn't just a smart pad, but the potential to shift diagnostics from infrequent clinic visits to continuous at-home monitoring, a real paradigm shift in early detection.
So it's no longer just about managing menstruation. It's about leveraging it as this like continuous stream of health data. Now, you mentioned other diagnostic innovations. Where does artificial intelligence fit into all of this?
Right, AI. It's proven to be a powerful tool across various aspects of femtech, and diagnostics is certainly a prime example. What's remarkable is that menstrual fluid, which we, previously considered just waste, actually contains over 1,200 different proteins and metabolites.
1,200. That's incredible.
Yeah. These molecules hold a wealth of information that could provide early clues to conditions like endometriosis and even ovarian cancer.
That's an incredible amount of potential information. But how do we even begin to like decipher that?
That's where AI's pattern recognition capabilities come in. By training algorithms on vast data sets of this biological information, AI can identify subtle patterns and anomalies that might be invisible to the human eye. This could lead to significantly earlier disease detection.
Right.
And to put this in perspective, the average time it takes for a woman to receive a diagnosis for conditions like endometriosis is around 7.6 years. 7.6 years. Femtech, powered by AI, has the potential to dramatically reduce that agonizing delay.
Over 7 years, that's a lifetime for someone suffering with those conditions. So we're seeing AI make a tangible difference in other areas of women's health diagnostics as well.
Absolutely. Consider breast cancer detection. Deep learning algorithms, a subset of AI, have achieved an impressive accuracy rate of 92.3% in analyzing mammograms.
92%?
Yeah, and that surpasses the average accuracy of human radiologists, which hovers around 87%. That's seemingly small percentage difference. It can translate to earlier detection and ultimately better outcomes for many, many women.
Those are significant numbers with real-world impact. That's amazing.
And it's not just about imaging either. Natural language processing, or NLP, which is a field of AI focused on understanding and processing human language, is being applied to analyze, get this, 1.2 million anonymized patient records.
Wow.
The goal is to identify subtle patterns in the language used in patient notes and medical histories that might indicate the presence of autoimmune diseases like lupus. Lupus, as you probably know, disproportionately affects women, and early diagnoses can be incredibly challenging due to its varied and often vague symptoms.
So AI is essentially acting as a kind of superpowered detective, sifting through all this information to connect seemingly unrelated clues.
Precisely. And we're seeing this innovative approach in startups as well. Fertility is a great example. They've combined at-home hormone testing with sophisticated machine learning algorithms. This allows them to create highly personalized assessments of a woman's reproductive health and, crucially, significantly reduce the time it takes to diagnose conditions like polycystic ovary syndrome or PCOS. They've reported reductions in diagnostic delays of up to 68%.
68%. That's a monumental improvement in getting women the answers and care they need much faster. Now, shifting our focus a bit, it feels like there's been an explosion of apps and digital tools aimed at helping women track and monitor their health on a daily basis.
Oh, you're absolutely right. We've seen a real surge in digital health applications specifically designed for women's unique needs. Think about the proliferation of period and fertility tracking apps. They've become incredibly popular for everything from family planning to just understanding menstrual cycles better.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
And now, there's a growing emphasis on incorporating robust privacy features into these apps. For instance, Sarah by Comma is an app that is IPA compliant, which means it adheres to strict regulations regarding the privacy and security of health information in the U.S. That gives users greater control over their sensitive data.
Data privacy is definitely a paramount concern. I mean, when we're talking about such personal health information, it has to be.
It really is. We're also seeing specialized apps emerging to support women through all stages of their reproductive lives. From pregnancy and the postpartum period to navigating menopause and managing hormonal health.
Right.
And in direct response to the growing concerns about data security, more companies are prioritizing transparent data policies and implementing enhanced security measures. California's AB 1278, for example, is a recent piece of legislation that mandates end-to-end encryption for reproductive health data collected within the state. That's setting a new standard for data protection.
That kind of legislative action seems crucial in building trust and ensuring user safety. It feels necessary. Now, beyond the apps on our phones, what role are wearable technologies playing in this evolving landscape of women's health?
Wearable devices are making significant inroads, particularly in areas like maternal health. Imagine a discrete blood pressure monitoring bracelet specifically designed for pregnant women who are at risk of or experiencing hypertension.
Okay.
This allows for continuous, real-time monitoring of a vital sign, which can be critical in detecting and managing potentially dangerous complications like preeclampsia.
That kind of continuous monitoring could be a real game changer for high-risk pregnancies, absolutely.
It truly could. In fact, a blood pressure monitoring bracelet developed in collaboration with Oxford University Hospitals has demonstrated the ability to predict the risk of preeclampsia. That serious pregnancy condition with high blood pressure up to 14 days in advance with an impressive 89% accuracy.
14 days with 89% accuracy. Wow.
Yeah, it's achieved using a technology called photoplethysmography, which essentially measures changes in blood volume using light reflected from the skin. That kind of early warning system can allow for timely intervention and potentially save lives.
The predictive capabilities of these devices are really remarkable, just staggering. What other areas of women's health are seeing innovation in wearable tech?
Well, we're also seeing interesting developments in postpartum recovery. Consider postpartum recovery bands that are equipped with EMG sensors. EMG stands for electromyography, which measures the electrical activity of muscles.
Mm-hmm.
These sensors track the activity of the pelvic floor muscles, providing real-time biofeedback to the wearer. This has been shown to lead to a significant 42% reduction in rates of urinary incontinence, which is a common and often distressing issue after childbirth.
So it's not just about passively tracking data, it's about actively empowering women to improve their recovery through real-time feedback. That's fantastic.
Exactly. And wearable technology is also beginning to address the often underserved area of menopause. At the Consumer Electronics Show, CES, in 2025, a device called Perry was showcased.
Harry.
This device utilizes multispectral sensors to continuously monitor various physiological markers, things like cortisol levels via sweat, indicating stress core body temperature fluctuations to help predict and manage hot flashes, and even heart rate variability, which is linked to anxiety and overall well-being.
A wearable device specifically designed to navigate the complexities of menopause. That sounds incredibly supportive for women going through that significant life transition. I mean, finally.
And early trial data has been very encouraging. They've actually shown a 33% reduction in emergency room visits for severe menopause symptoms among women using such proactive monitoring.
33% reduction in ER visits.
Yeah. This highlights the potential for these devices to empower women to better understand their bodies, manage their symptoms more effectively, and seek appropriate care when needed, potentially preventing more serious health events.
So we've explored the exciting advancements in diagnostics and monitoring. What about actual treatments and therapeutic interventions? Is Femtech making waves there as well?
Absolutely. We're seeing some really promising innovations in treatment, particularly in the realm of non-invasive therapeutic solutions. One notable example is high-intensity focused ultrasound, or HIFU.
HIFU. Okay.
This technology uses focused sound waves to precisely target and ablate tissue without the need for surgical incisions. It has demonstrated an impressive 82% success rate in reducing symptoms associated with uterine fibroids, which are the leading cause of hysterectomies. Avoiding major surgery is a huge benefit.
Huge. That's a massive step forward in offering less invasive options for common and often debilitating conditions.
It really is. We're also seeing the increasing application of laser ablation techniques for treating cervical dysplasia. That's precancerous changes to the cells of the cervix. This is often a relatively quick, maybe 15-minute outpatient procedure.
15 minutes.
Yeah, that can effectively remove these abnormal cells while crucially preserving a woman's fertility. This is a significant advantage over more invasive surgical treatments that might have implications for future pregnancies.
Preserving fertility is often such a critical consideration for women facing these kinds of diagnoses. That's great news. Beyond medical procedures, are there any interesting innovations in everyday health products for women?
Yes, definitely. There's a growing movement towards sustainable and health-conscious menstrual health products. For instance, a company called Be Free has developed an antimicrobial menstrual cup made from a nanotextured silicone.
Nanotextured.
Yeah, this unique surface has been shown to result in a remarkable 99.7% reduction in biofilm formation, addressing a key hygiene concern often associated with reusable menstrual products.
Almost 100% reduction. That sounds like a significant improvement in the safety and cleanliness of reusable options.
Definitely. And another company, Calla Lily, is producing biodegradable tampons infused with plant-based antimicrobials. These tampons are designed to decompose in approximately 90 days.
90 days compared to...
Compared to the 500 or more years it takes for conventional plastic-based tampons to break down. It's a stark contrast. This has the potential to significantly reduce the enormous amount of plastic waste generated annually from these products. They estimate around 12,000 tons could be prevented.
12,000 tons. The environmental impact of those kinds of innovations is really significant. It speaks to a broader awareness of sustainability in women's health, which is great to see. Now, while all of this sounds incredibly promising, what are some of the key challenges and ethical considerations that we need to be mindful of as this field continues to evolve so quickly?
Yeah, that's a critical question. While the potential of Femtech is undeniable, we absolutely must address several critical issues. Foremost among these is data privacy and security. The apps and devices we've discussed collect highly sensitive information about women's bodies and health.
It's extremely sensitive.
Right, so that necessitates robust safeguards and transparent data handling practices. Research in India, for example, has highlighted potential unintended consequences of the increasing datafication of reproduction, raising concerns about potential exclusion and the risks associated with collecting and using this intimate data.
It really raises the fundamental question of who owns this data and how it might be used, both now and, down the line.
Exactly. The legal frameworks surrounding health data are still evolving, And the potential for commercialization of this deeply personal information raises significant ethical questions about informed consent, data ownership, and frankly, the potential for misuse.
And is the reach of Femtech truly equitable? Are we thinking enough about inclusion and accessibility for all women?
This is a crucial point. There's a growing recognition of the need for more research and inclusive design within Femtech, particularly concerning the LGBTQIA+ community. We need to ensure that language and product development are inclusive of transgender and non-binary individuals.
Absolutely.
Platforms like Queerly Health are actively working on this. They're integrating with a significant percentage, I think it's 74% of major electronic health record systems, and utilizing adaptive questionnaires to provide customized screenings and non-gendered user interfaces.
That's a vital step towards ensuring that these technologies benefit everyone, not just a specific demographic.
It really is. Furthermore, the applicability and accessibility of Femtech in developing nations often intersect with existing structural inequalities in healthcare access. While we see promising examples like smartphone-based AI assistants in rural India helping to reduce maternal mortality
How are they doing that?
through risk stratification, providing guidance in local languages, coordinating emergency transportation, really amazing stuff. But we must be careful that technological solutions don't inadvertently widen existing health disparities.
So it's not just about developing the tech, it's about ensuring it's deployed in a way that is culturally sensitive, affordable, and truly reaches the women who need it most within their specific contexts. That deployment piece is huge.
Precisely. Another significant challenge lies in effectively bridging the gap between technological innovation and genuine clinical needs. There can sometimes be a disconnect, between the exciting products being developed and the actual day-to-day challenges faced by women and healthcare providers.
Right, the shiny new object versus what's actually useful on the ground.
Exactly. So, efforts are underway to develop tools and frameworks for clinical needs assessments to better align product development with real-world healthcare requirements.
It's about ensuring that the ingenuity of the tech world is actually solving tangible problems in a practical and impactful way for healthcare professionals and patients. Makes sense.
Exactly. And we can't overlook the investment landscape either. While funding for Femtech has seen significant growth, the UK, for instance, reached $740 million in funding in 2022, there's still a notable disparity in how health tech venture capital is allocated.
How so?
Well, only a relatively small percentage, around 12%, targets women-led startups, and even less, about 4%, is directed towards health conditions beyond reproductive health.
Only 4% beyond repro health. That seems low.
It is. However, there are encouraging signs. We're seeing significant funding rounds for companies like Stella, which focuses on menopause care. They raised $30 million. And substantial grants from institutions like the NIH for AI-powered endometriosis diagnostics, about $18 million there. So things are moving, but slowly.
So while progress is being made, there's still a definite need for more equitable investment that recognizes the breadth of women's health needs and the potential of women entrepreneurs in this space.
Definitely. And then, of course, there are the regulatory pathways. While regulatory bodies like the FDA have shown a willingness to expedite approvals for certain digital health tools, navigating the regulatory landscape can still be a significant hurdle, particularly in regions like the EU, with regulations such as the MDR for clinical validation.
The MDR. Yeah.
It has a low compliance rate currently, around 23%, and this can slow down the availability of these innovations.
It sounds like navigating those regulatory complexities requires specialized expertise and can be a significant barrier to entry, especially for smaller startups.
It absolutely can be. Now, shifting gears slightly, it's interesting to observe the parallel growth of women's health media and educational platforms alongside these technological advancements. It's not just about the tools themselves, right?
Yeah.
It's also about empowering women with knowledge and fostering open conversations about their health.
Absolutely. There seems to be a real hunger for reliable and accessible information about women's bodies and health experiences. And podcasts in particular seem to be playing a really valuable role in this.
They really are. Podcasts have emerged as influential educational platforms, creating accessible spaces for in-depth discussions on various aspects of women's health. For example, the Femtech Focus podcast with Dr. Brittany Barreto has been a pioneering voice in this space. It's the first and longest running, I believe, with over 250 episodes and listeners in like 143 countries. It provides a great platform for experts, founders, innovators to share their insights. Similarly, the Femtech Health podcast features a wide range of experts covering topics from endometriosis and fertility to postpartum care and menopause. These podcasts are just instrumental in raising awareness, destigmatizing conversations around women's health, and providing visibility for the companies and individuals driving innovation in femtech.
It's great to see these platforms fostering a more informed and empowered community around women's health. It feels like a necessary complement to the tech.
Totally. And this emphasis on education extends beyond media. Femtech companies themselves are increasingly recognizing the importance of providing educational resources and community support alongside their technological solutions. Take Female Invest, for example. They focus specifically on providing investment education for women.
Interesting.
Now, while there are ongoing discussions about the need for gender-specific financial education, proponents argue that these platforms create safe and supportive learning environments that can help address existing gender gaps in financial literacy and investment.
Right. It's about empowering women with knowledge across various facets of their lives, recognizing that health and financial well-being are often deeply interconnected. So, looking ahead, what are some of the most exciting future directions and emerging opportunities that you see on the horizon for femtech? Where is this all heading?
Well, personalized medicine is undoubtedly a major trajectory. With the increasing sophistication of data analytics and AI, we can move towards collecting and analyzing longitudinal data on individual women's health patterns.
Okay.
This will allow us to move away from relying on standardized norms, which, as we discussed, have historically been based on male physiology, and develop a much more nuanced and individualized understanding of women's health needs and trajectories.
Tailored care, essentially.
Exactly. And we're even seeing truly groundbreaking developments like phase 3 clinical trials of mRNA-based endometriosis vaccines showing significant reductions in lesion growth, 76% reduction, and CRISPR gene editing therapies targeting BRCA1 mutations entering trials with incredible precision, like 94% precision in targeting ovarian cancer cells.
That's truly cutting-edge science with the potential for transformative impact on women's lives. Just incredible.
It really is. Another critical area for the future is the better integration of femtech solutions with traditional healthcare systems.
Mm,
Currently, many femtech innovations operate somewhat independently, kind of in silos.
right.
Establishing stronger partnerships and integration pathways, like the collaboration between Health Innovation KSS and the Medical Women podcast, are vital steps. Initiatives like the UK's NHS Digital Femtech Integration Program, which aims to connect, I think, 60% of women to certified health apps through their primary care portals by 2026, are really encouraging examples of this trend.
That kind of seamless integration could really amplify the reach and impact of these technologies, making them more readily accessible within existing healthcare frameworks. That seems key.
Absolutely. And finally, continued policy support and recognition for women's health initiatives are just crucial. The limited attention given to women's health in recent UK election manifestos, for instance, underscores the ongoing need for advocacy and political will to prioritize women's health on a national and global level.
We need that top-down support.
We do. Organizations like the Society for Women's Health Research, SWHR, are actively advocating for increased federal investment in critical areas like uterine fibroid research. They're calling for $2.1 billion. They're also pushing for mandatory diversity quotas in clinical trials to ensure research findings are applicable to all populations, and advocating for insurance parity for digital therapeutics in women's health.
So it's really a multi-pronged approach that requires collaboration and commitment across technology, healthcare policy, and education to truly realize the full potential of femtech. It's not just one thing.
Precisely. It all needs to work synergistically to bring about a meaningful and lasting revolution in women's health.
Well, this has been a truly illuminating deep dive into the rapidly evolving world of femtech. It's clear that this field holds immense promise in addressing historical inequities and providing innovative technological solutions for a really wide spectrum of women's health needs. We've explored groundbreaking diagnostic tools like the QPAD and the transformative power of AI, the advancements in health tracking and wearable technologies for maternal and menopausal health, and the exciting developments in non-invasive treatments and sustainable health products. We've also highlighted the crucial role of educational platforms in empowering women with knowledge.
And it's just vital that we continue to address the critical challenges that lie ahead. Things like safeguarding data privacy and security, ensuring inclusivity and accessibility for all women regardless of their background or circumstances, and fostering better integration of these innovations within mainstream clinical care. These aren't minor points, they're essential.
Absolutely. The ongoing evolution of femtech will really depend on strong collaboration between technologists, healthcare providers, investors, and policymakers to ensure that these solutions are not only innovative, but also equitable and truly beneficial for women worldwide. So, as we bring this deep dive to a close, here's something for you, our listeners, to consider. Given the remarkable advancements we explored in women's health, what other areas of healthcare, perhaps focused on other historically underserved populations, do you believe are ripe for similar technology driven transformations? And as we envision these possibilities, it's crucial to continuously examine the ethical implications and the potential for widespread positive impact.